Today we're going to unravel the enigmatic mind of an extraordinary wordsmith. He's a master of horror and fantasy and the first African American to win the prestigious Bram Stoker Award in a novel category. Our guest is none other than Nzondi, also known as Ace Antonio Hall. He's an acclaimed author whose gripping tales send shivers down your spine while captivating your imagination. But hang tight, we are going to invite him to join us very shortly. You're watching Books with Bridgetti, authors like you've never heard them before. Don't go away, we will be right back.
Introducing Books with Bridgetti, a lineup of industry experts, award-winning authors and talented indie authors. Buckle up for an unparalleled journey with us. Meet exceptional authors celebrated globally for their captivating narratives. Our authors craft imaginative stories that stay etched in your mind long after the final page. It's not just stories, it's lingering experiences that stay etched in your mind. Our authors share the inspirations that create mesmerizing page-turning stories. Journeys that embody resilience, that turn setbacks into stepping stones, rejections that spark growth, and hurdles that become a catalyst for creativity. From dramas, mysteries, fantasies, children's stories to reality stories, join us as we delve into the inspiration behind the story, discover how authors breathe life into characters, and meticulously craft plots that keep you turning the page. But wait, there's more. We share stories from indie authors as well as Amazon and New York Times best-selling authors. Get ready for an interview that'll have you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned. Join us only on Books with Bridgetti.
If you've just joined us, then welcome to Books with Bridgetti. Our live stream is made possible by StreamYard and BeLive Media. And in today's show, we're going to be talking to Nzondi, also known as Ace Antonio Hall. He's an acclaimed author whose gripping tales send shivers down your spine while captivating your imagination. Authors like you've never heard before, only on Books with Bridgetti. Now, if you've never met my amazing guest today, it is my honor to introduce you to Nzondi, also known as Ace Antonio Hall. He's a true luminary in the world of horror literature. Nzondi made history as the very, very first African-American to clinch a Bram Stoker Award, and it's a very fancy award. Do Google it and go check it out. I don't think he's got it with him today, but it's a beautiful, amazing award. That's the Bram Stoker Award in the novel category with his gripping work, Owari Mosaic, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He will correct me, I'm sure. But his talent doesn't stop there. He's a multifaceted artist, blending his passion for writing with his musical prowess. His alternative rock anthem, Teenage Rock Star, featuring renowned musicians, embodies the energy of Seattle's iconic bands. And beyond his creative endeavors, he's also a dedicated advocate serving on the Mental Health Awareness Committee for the Horror Writers Association. Please give a warm welcome to my amazing guest. Welcome. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. Thank you for having me, Bridgetti. I really appreciate it. Again, I must say that this is your program is one of the most outstanding podcasts that I've ever been a part of, and I'm really honored to be here with you. So thanks for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have you. And I'm going to jump in. I've got like 120 questions to ask you, and I know that we're going to have so much fun talking to each other on the show today. So your writing traverses the realms of horror, fantasy, supernatural with great finesse. Can you delve into what draws you or what drew you into these genres, and how your personal experiences, including your encounters with celebrities, have shaped your storytelling.
Um, I'm going to say this. I'm not trying to be funny. That's a great question. And the reason why is because I'm in a different stage of my life right now. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts like that deal with existential ideas and spirituality. And I now almost feel like um, the reason why I'm drawn to that is because my past experience or my past lives, those, where I lived before, must have had either some type of horrible life or, was in a world of horror and science fiction because I feel like it's part of my DNA. It's like almost innate. And I really do believe that there are some characteristics in every single person from a very early age that if they tap into it, that's what their purpose is and that's what they go into for the rest of their lives. And I almost feel like it's not even like we have, what do you call it, willpower, that it's like something that's in our cells, in our spirits that lived it before. So it's really hard to explain it. All I can say is that I am enamored with all things horror, all things thrilling, and science fiction. And it's kind of like I dream it and I wake up and I write it. And it's just, 24/7, it's in my mind. So that's a great question.
I've always wondered, it's after interviewing authors for 6 years, I never get tired of speaking to authors. And even if I have them on the show more than once, because there's just so many facets to writing and so many stories to what makes you who you are um, today, and you evolve, as you said, with time. So something you didn't answer in my question is, have you had what encounters have you had with celebrities that's influenced your storytelling?
Yeah, I've had um, a very unique experience being that, my father had created some jazz classics, some Miles Davis jazz classics. He wrote some lyrics to them, like "So What" and "Bitches Brew," which are songs by Miles Davis and sung by Eddie Jefferson. And it exposed me early on at a young age to certain celebrities. And then I was fortunate to be part of um, the family of the Nice and Smooth, which are iconic hip hop artists. And being with them, I've been invited and been around just a phenomenal amount of celebrities. And then on my own, just with some of my own, what we call brethren, I've encountered a lot. And then being in the entertainment industry. And so, I've encountered from being at the Jackson's house, when, I once gave Rebe Jackson's daughter Yashi a vocal lesson, one vocal lesson. I guess they were like, yeah, that's it. But from being in Rebe Jackson's house to being at the Jackson's house on Encino for Austin's graduation, to meeting Madonna, to meeting Prince when I was working at BB King's at City Walk, and just a host of others. I mean, the list goes on, and not trying to name drop, but I think those experiences have given me the insight that
Shaped your, yeah, yeah.
I belong there, that I'm among the stars, and it almost gives you a certain confidence, and that confidence goes into my writing, and it allows me to be very, very bold, in my writing, and to take a lot of chances because I just believe that I have so much to say, and it gives me sort of it gives me a pathway to kind of write these really strange and weird and bold things because I just feel like weirdness is where I belong. And meeting all these different celebrities and befriending a lot of them has given me that kind of confidence, to
Okay,
do
so
that.
given your collective background with your father, and obviously having had experiences that most other authors in your genre may not have had,
Yeah.
have you ever had writer's block? Because that's something that a lot of authors come across. So I'm curious, given your background, is it something you've ever experienced? And then how do you deal with it?
You're not going to believe me when I say this, and a lot of writers probably won't, but I have never had writer's block. Like, I don't even really know what that is. And I think it's because of my process, some of the things that I do, why I've never had writer's block.
So
So,
can I ask you? So tell me, because there are writers there that are watching the show.
yeah.
If it happens to them, what would you say to them?
Well, if you do get writer's block, meaning, there's nothing's coming to you. You don't know where to go. You just at this, dead end, and the words aren't flowing. This is what I suggest you do. It's what I do, and maybe it's because I do this. I've never really had writer's block. It seems very, very simple, but it's two or three things that you can do. Number one, I read a lot. I read a lot of my genre, and every time I'm reading something that's phenomenal, it inspires me to write. Like, oh my god, I got to write something. So I believe that if you have writer's block and you can't think of anything, you just stop and you pick up your favorite author or book of your author. And I reread a lot of books, and you go back and read. So some of the things I do when I go back and read is I underline really cool things like, wow, this is a great characterization. I've never characterized I've never characterized one of my MCs like this before. Or I underline really plot changes. Wow, this is a plot change. Or look, this is the rules. This is how this author is placing, putting down some of the rules of this world, and I do that. The other thing I do is, and this is probably the number one thing that helps me out, is I do research. You know, David Gerald once told me, even when you're doing science fiction, a lot of writers he's come across make things up. Yeah, that's what fiction is all about. But if you're going to make something up, you got to have a lot of facts behind it. So, I do a lot of research. So if I have a pilot in part of my plot or in a scene, I go back and I look up, what the panel of the airplane looks like, or the panel of the helicopter looks like. And how does a pilot, actually, engage and get into the air? And so I look up all those little things, and that can take hours sometime. I look up, wait a minute, I'm talking about Connecticut, or a Connecticut type of city, or New York or Boston or Miami. What is the architecture in that place? And I look up the architecture. I'm like, wow, I was way off. They use brick, or they use this. New York uses a lot of German type of architecture in their houses. And the fact doing that, I'm getting a lot of information that I may only use a snippet of that information, 1-2 sentences of it, because you can't, you don't want to, you don't want to like just have so much information that it like, takes the reader out of the story. But by doing that, I'm now ready to go back into my story and write and clean it up. And there's a tons of other things that I do. I do passes. I go back and do some passes. Like, all right, let me go back and do a pass to make sure that my characters are different, that they don't all seem one dimensional. Okay, every single character doesn't speak the same way. All right, so I need to have a little bit different flavor with their character, with this character. So I do character passes. I do description passes. I do action passes. I need a little bit more action in this scene. I need to tie in this this chapter to this chapter, tied in. I need to have a little bit more of a mystery in here. Don't give all the answers at once. So by the time I do all these, I don't do them all at once. I just do them, as they come up to mind. But if you haven't writer's block and you go back and do some of these things, research certain passes, character passes, plot passes, suspense passes, make sure that you're having enough suspense in the different, scenes and whatnot, or mystery. I think that you won't have writer's block anymore, and you'll be able to delve back into your story. It's just a suggestion. I hope it works. I hope it helps for those people who have writer's block.
I must say, I've not had another author on the show that I can remember that ever gave this kind of practical advice. So I think this is incredibly useful to our writers out there, having a specific process to prevent writer's block. I really like that.
Thank you.
Um, Now, Cozy Coleman is a standout character in your repertoire, blending teenage angst with supernatural elements. What inspired her creation, and how do you infuse her complexities into the horror landscape that you crafted?
That's okay. So, number one, I have a background as a teacher, and I was around a lot of middle school students, excuse me, that were around mostly 13 years old. I mean, I've been around as a teacher everything from second to fourth grade, uh, um, students that were on the spectrum, to emotionally troubled students, to honor roll students, which is I love my honor roll students. They were the greatest, but oh my gosh, I don't like working with students that are so smart that you can't, I do my homework later and they just talk in class all day. So it's kind of hard to like control them. So that's not my forte. That's not my skill set. I really like the at-risk kids who, were brilliant but came from an environment that was tough, and I like getting through to them. But anyway, that environment really helped me to kind of craft the type of angst and relatable issues that my young adult characters have, or my young characters have. And I think the fact that growing up around all women gives me that. But also, what inspired me was when I read a lot of Laura K. Hamilton's um, Anita Blake series. So Anita Blake inspired me. Buffy the Vampire, her character. I didn't watch the series as much as some of my friends have, but that character and the way she acts kind of inspired my characters. And then, I infuse a lot. It's just in the back of my mind, my consciousness, my subconsciousness, just a lot of that Twilight Zone speculative fiction um, type of plots that I used to watch Twilight Zone a lot on my birthday on July 4th. They used to just have a marathon, and I guarantee you I watched at least 12, 10 to 12 hours on my birthday of Twilight Zone. And those types of things kind of help craft that type of character with the angst, and I always wanted to give my characters, put them in a lot of trouble, as much pain as possible, so you can see the internal and external conflicts. And I think the combination of those um, entities helped me to develop, a Cozy Coleman type of character.
Wow, that is amazing. So what I'm getting from you all the time is research, research, research. Be prepared. Um, that seems to be a big thing that's coming through for me. Now, as a writer, you have shattered barriers as the very first African American to win a Bram Stoker Award in a novel character. How does it feel to have achieved such a significant milestone? Um, and what impact do you hope that your achievement has on diversity in the literary landscape?
I think that well, first of all, I'm still like slapping myself in the face because I'm like, I can't even believe that I'm in that category. I'm in that, I'm part of that fellowship or sorority, a fraternity of the first African American to do this, that historical, milestone and landmark. That alone is just absolutely, just blows my mind blowing. So I'm always honored, and humbled, very, very humbled that I was able to achieve that significance in the literary world. Why? Because I feel like, I'm still a student. I'm still learning. And I feel like I'll be a student forever, still learning and learning the craft and mastering the craft of writing horror and writing science fiction and writing literature. And the reason why I feel that way is because every time I'm in the, the environment of horror writers, they're so intelligent, and they have so much background of, tons of authors that they've read, and they can tell you the differences in their styles. Science fiction writers, well, Asimov is different from they can tell you all the different styles. I'm nowhere near that. I'm still learning. I'm still listening, to my mentors, and mentors who become friends. And it's humbling. It really is humbling, because I feel like I'm in a room full of giants, and what can you do but just keep looking up and keep aspiring to be as great as they are. So to be put in that same significance as being, a Bram Stoker Award winner is phenomenal. Also, it puts a lot of pressure on me, because now I usually, kick out, with my full schedule. I'm always doing a lot of stuff. I always stay busy, but I usually kick out a novel every couple of years. And since I started writing novels, and it's been 3-4 years now that I'm still working on this novel. And it's like, I shouldn't have that much pressure on me, but I just want it to be, I feel like it's better than, my last novel. And I just want it to be as good as it can be. And I'm like really taking my time with it. How, how many years was it? What's the author that did Game of Thrones? What's his name? Brain fart. That wrote the book Game of Thrones.
My brain fog is really bad. So,
but anyway, I know I think he took years and years between writing his books, if I'm correct, or between writing the last several books. It took years, like 5, 6, 7 years. And so I don't feel that bad, but I've taken a long time to write this new book. I feel like it's the best effort that I've ever given towards characterization and plot. And I feel like it's going to be really good. But I think winning that Bram Stoker really put that pressure on me, because you don't just want to be a one-hit wonder, so to speak. I want all of my books
to be really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm taking my time with this one. So
well, I must say,
sorry, go ahead.
I think the author that sat on his book the longest was 30 years. I don't think you're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to take that long. Yeah, we're going to shorten that up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I think that's...
but in the time that I have, been writing this book, I have, dropped or released maybe 7 or 8 rock singles in that time, and I've written quite a few different short stories that haven't come out yet in anthologies that are done. So I have been very productive as far as finishing product in that time that I'm still finishing up my novel.
Yeah, no, you're definitely kicking out other stuff in between. Now, let's switch gears for a minute. In Lipstick Asylum, Where the Dead Rise, you continue to explore the alternate universe that you introduce in Awari Mosaic. Can you give us some insight into this world and what readers can expect from the captivating continuation?
Absolutely. Number one, I'm always trying to come up with something a little the same, but a little different, what I call chocolate chip cookie theory, which to quickly explain it, if you want to do your own chocolate chip cookie, it's the same. We've all had chocolate chip cookies. So it has to have the same type of ingredients. It has to have chocolate chips and whatever else it is that, to make cookies, sugar, whatever, etc. And so, but at the same time, you want it to be unique enough so that when somebody tastes it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is, wow.
There's something extra there.
Yeah. And so, I want to do that. So I've taken the multiverse and the metaverse, and I put a little, spin to it. My universe that I'm building up, all of most of my characters, whether they're vampires, whoever they are, they have neural implants, and we're almost at that stage now. Well, I think I read somewhere where the first neural implant is becoming successful, but it's a little different from mine. Mine is a little bit more advanced, but they have neural implants. So in their mind, they can go to school. They go to school in their mind. They just tap in, and they see this corneal HUD, which is a heads-up display on their cornea. Kind of like when you watch Terminator and he has the information comes up. So they all have corneal HUDs. So it's not metaverse, it's not multiverse, it's neuroverse. So all of my books are now going on that neuroverse, where they can go to school, like I said, so they can learn and train to be a medical examiner. So, they can, from an early age, they play video games in their mind, in their head. They play video games on the neuroverse, and that helps them explore and become experts in uh in um as a medical coroner, forensic pathology, forensic investigation, different things as a detective. And so, my whole world is kind of wrapped around the neuroverse. And, you can go back and look at your memories through what I call a memdat, a memory data, or a retcon, and so you can go back and look at your videos. And I also have characters that have the ability of cyberpathy, which means that they can control pretty much anything you plug in, or they can control electronics and computers. So those characters, not everyone has that. Just like everyone has certain different gifts. Some can run fast, some can think, some can play piano at 6 years old, whatever it is. So people with some of my characters with that are cyberpathic can tap in and steal an encrypted memory data in someone's brain, or put their own memories in it. So this is the world that I'm creating, and it's very, very exciting because I'm always learning about new types of technology, and I do a lot of research on what's the new technology coming out, and I tap into that and bring it into my world. And another thing that I'm doing is tapping into things that are already existing that we don't know a lot about, like animals. There are thousands of species of animals that are not common, but they're alive. So I tap into that and I bring that into my universe. And where it may seem like something you've never seen before, that animal actually exists. And I love that because one of my favorite franchises, Star Wars, they always have these very weird, interesting animals. They're more fictional, but you always see them. Some of them are really cute. Sometimes it's just one running across the screen during the scene that they're kind of moving into. And I love doing that. That's something that I got from Star Wars, from from Stephen King when he has his child characters, and from Steven Spielberg, always having that childlike innocence subplot in his stories. And I know that was long winded, but
Uh, uh, oh my goodness.
that's what
My,
I do.
my my next question to you is a little bit of a multi question,
All right.
and that's because a little birdie gave me a little bit of insight, and I thought I need to find a way of weaving this into our talk today.
Okay.
So collaboration is very integral to your creative process. Just listening to you, and so you collaborate with a lot of authors, musicians, Hollywood producers. Um, so my question is, how do these partnerships, I know we've touched a little bit on it, how do these partnerships enhance your storytelling?
Mhm.
What qualities do you look for in potential collaborators?
Mhm.
And have any of your collaborators ever been surprised by your celebrity horror stories? And I believe you've got a few celebrity horror stories.
Yes. Well, the first thing is chemistry. I had a meeting a couple of days ago, and for me, it was all about let's just get to know each other and see if we have a certain kind of chemistry. And when I find that I have a certain chemistry with someone, we have the certain likes, or we enjoy being around each other, or I like that person as a person, it's easier to collaborate. Um, so that's number one. Like if I personally feel like now, this is like in the last year or so, when I collaborate with someone, I'm creating an art, a marriage that will stand the test of time. So if we create something, you know, and my name is on it and their name is on it together, and we're putting it out there for the universe, a book will be here forever, for thousands of years, or whatever it is, a song, or whatever the collaborative creative effort is, I want that marriage to be like a really great chemistry because, hey, it's going to be there for a long time. Number one. The other thing is, you know, uh, writing is an individual sport, so to speak. And I love that because everything depends on you as the author. It's very, very hard to work with others who have different goals or different aspirations or different timetables. It's very difficult to do that. So when I do collaborate, it's usually always, you have to compromise a little bit. Like you got to be cool and accept that it's not going to be done when you want it to be done, or they may reject something, a creative idea that you have, or you may reject a creative idea that they have. But if you can respect each other position and where it comes from, you can kind of move forward together and create something. So I always have that, in the foreground of my mind, that there's going to be some compromise, there's going to be some growth, always some growth when you collaborate with someone because you learn something different. And the it's a thin line when I bring, like, yeah, I danced with Madonna and almost knocked her hat off in a club, or yeah, I was rude to Miss Diana Ross when I thought it was her secretary on the phone, and I actually called her cell phone, and I called her Diana because I got tired of her asking me what did I want, so to speak, and I thought it was her guard dog, and instead of saying Miss Ross, which I know that she likes to be called, not by first name for someone who doesn't know her well. And I was like, look, her next door neighbor gave me the number, which is my aunt, and said she'd be interested in these songs, and I just want to tell Diana, blah 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 blah. And she was like, this is her. And I was like, oh my God, Mrs. Ross. All of those different things. It's kind of hard to talk about them with others who haven't experienced that. It's kind of like, I used to tell my students all the time, don't tell everyone what you want to be your goals unless those people have the same goals that you do, because if they do, they're in the same mindset. So it's, you don't want to sound like you're bragging or, I'm better than you kind of thing, because I'm not. They're usually better than me. But so it's a thin line. You kind of got to, so they are shocked when they find out, oh my God, you met, this person or that person, you hung out with this person. How do you do these things? And I think, it's all of this stuff just helps me become a better writer, because I always try to capture something that happened in my life and turn it a little bit and put it into my stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow is all I'm going to say. Um,
Yeah.
but you're right. People aren't always happy for you
No.
when you achieve a certain level of success.
And I'm the
And
same way. I'm the same way too, though. I'm the same way. Sometimes, I'm like, when somebody does something well, I'm like, so what? Because I'm gonna do that one day. I take that and I'm like, I want to do that. I think it's human nature, but some people really, what they call hate. Some people really hate on you when you succeed. But I think it's human nature, because I do the same thing too. Like, all right, okay, so you did that too. Because really it's because I want to do it, and I want to, I want to excel like that. But I don't say it publicly. I don't say it to their face publicly, but I take that and it makes me want to do better and do, to work on my craft more. I take it and spin it.
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. So Blood Teens, which is a vampire novel, correct?
I changed the
Um,
name so many times now. Yeah. It used to be Blood Teens. I changed the name.
did you change the name? What is it called now?
I I have a couple of titles now, and it may be subtitled, but I think I'm gonna go with the title that's been in my mind for about 6 or 7 years now. And I really like it, and I'm going with it, and it fits the story and the plot. So now it's New Year's Dead. New Year's
Okay.
Dead. Um, and in New Year's Dead, I have. So what I wanted to do was not just have the regular vampire. You know, at first I wasn't even calling them vampires. I called them something else, but they're vampires. But what I have now is what you call, just like humans have different races, I have different races of, and I call it kindred. So there's different kindreds. So I took all of the different vampires that exist and I built some of my own, and they come from different places. And because they come from different places, they have different abilities. Some have fangs, some can retract their fangs, some don't. Some have these abilities, some don't. And so I have all these different kindreds, and so that's kind of where I'm coming from. I have different vampires. And so because of that, I have teenagers that are vampires. At one time called them blood teens. I thought that was kind of a cool name, and some of them are sometimes nicknamed that. But I also have a group of teenagers who, we know that a lot of vampires can shapeshift, but in my world, not all vampires can shapeshift. Some have the ability to do that, and the ones that can shapeshift in this particular world are able to, what I call, drift to other worlds, to drift through other realms, and through a technology that was made on a twin planet. And because they can drift into other worlds and they shapeshift, I always thought when I saw Star Trek, when they go to these different worlds, what if the physics of that world is so different? It's not the same. It's almost like when they go to these different, beam up to these different planets, the physics is always the same, and they're able to go through without disintegrating. I'm like, what if the physics is so different that they go into this world and completely disintegrate because the physics is different? So I wanted to have an answer for that. And so I said, well, shapeshifters are able to control their molecules, and because they're able to control their molecules, they don't disintegrate. They're able to kind of, modify it. And so I want only shapeshifters being able to go to the different worlds and the different universes in the multiverse. And so the title, one of the titles, a subtitle, is when I call it drifting, going from one planet to another planet or one universe to another universe, drifting through portals. So since they're shapeshifters and they drift, I call it shape drifters. So that might be the title. It might be New Year's Dead, or it might be Shape Drifters, or that Shape Drifters might be the subtitle. So
very interesting. And I can tell once again, a lot of thought has gone into that. Yeah. So on that note, I want to ask you, how does music influence your narrative style in this book?
So I'll have an idea, and it's taking me so long to finish the book, because I'm taking my time with it. I'll have an idea, and then the idea comes out. I see it in a movie, or I see another friend publishing a book with that same idea, because collectively, I believe we all have come from the same consciousness. It makes me not want to do it anymore. So originally I had it where like it was an Archie's type group of young teenagers who play in a band, and so the songs they sung inspired me to write real songs. And now, not so much. I may still have that aspect of it, but it's not going to be a strong aspect. So that's kind of how, it influenced me and influenced the narrative, where I had music such a strong part. But once I saw, like, a friend of mine, he had came out with a comic book, with vampires that play in a band. And it wasn't like a brand new concept. We've seen it before. But once I saw that, and it came out recently, and then I saw something like that in a couple of movies, I'm like, I don't want to do that now. I want to do something a little different. So it kind of changed. And I really do believe this book that I'm writing now is meant to take so long because I haven't lived or experienced some of the things that I need to experience yet to finish the book. And the book is writing itself, but it needs me to grow and experience some certain things before I can finish the book. I really believe that's what's happening now.
Very interesting. We're going to take a really short break because I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. You are watching Books with Bridgetti, a lineup of industry experts, award-winning authors, and talented indie authors, only on 100 TV. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Books with Bridgetti with my amazing guest, Nzondi. So, beyond the chills and thrills, which we've talked about quite a lot now, your stories often tackle profound themes and the human condition. How do you balance crafting compelling narratives with exploring deeper philosophical or societal issues?
90% storytelling, 10% real life issues, because I don't want to preach or teach. I just want to tap into the subconscious mind and let you know that this problem exists, this conflict exists while telling a compelling story. So 90 to 10% is kind of how I craft them.
Very interesting. I just wanted to know what the mix was. Um, Now, when we started the show, you talked a little bit about your dad and the pivotal role that he played in your creative journey. Could you elaborate just a little bit more on the influence and spotlight his contribution to the Black is Beautiful movement?
Man, I tell you, when they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, in my existence, that's true. My father was a painter, a poet. He created the first Black superhero. He was an activist, and he was part of a group called A-Jazz, which they started out as wanting to just create their own jazz concerts. And these young cats at 19, 20, 21, 22 years old were doing concerts, jazz concerts with some of the greatest musicians of our time. You know, I can't believe that did it at that young of an age. And then it developed into them creating the Grandassa models, which wanted to bring more of the culture of African and the African diaspora back into, you know, mainstream media and music and books, because at that time when they did that, it was kind of moving towards an absence of that. You know, we had Black women straightening their hair, and Black children holding a Barbie doll that didn't quite look like them. And my father wanted to kind of twist it back and say, hey, be proud of your heritage. It's wonderful to embrace all these other cultures, but be proud of your heritage as well, that you don't feel, that you feel okay wearing your hair natural, that you feel okay having, these wide hips and, voluptuous shapes, and it's natural and it's beautiful. You are beautiful. And I think all of that kind of now I tap into. And I feel not even obligated. It is my purpose to have a strong foundation of our cultures. I just don't label it as that, but it's there in our culture, the languages, the foods, the heritage. I don't label it as that, but you see it in my characters and what my characters do. Kind of the same way, I guess, like Romulans sounds a lot like Romans and Vulcans, in the Star Trek, in that Star Trek Enterprise, in the Star Trek world, multiverse, where Roddenberry took a real culture and crafted it and changed it a little bit to make it look different. And, we accept it as being different, but it still has roots of an original culture. So I'm doing a lot of that as well with my writing. And Dad influenced all of that, by him being a songwriter, by him being, a painter, by him creating the first Black superhero, Little Zing, 3 years before. I mean, not creating, but it being published 3 years before Black Panther was published. So him having the first Black superhero, Little Zing, the African boy king, all of those things, just kind of almost through osmosis, just oozed into my creative mind, and it's who I am now. It goes into my writing.
Yeah. Now you spoke earlier about. I mean, you've got big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
Very big shoes to fill.
really big.
You did speak earlier about how you've evolved as a writer and how you have to keep challenging yourself since you've won the Bram Stoker Award.
Yeah.
What would you say excites you the most about the evolution of your craft?
That I'm still learning. And, you know, uh, it's like, I want you to do something. I want you to do something for me. I'm going to tell you to do something, and I want you to do it as hard as you possibly can, right? And then I'm going to give you some more directions. I want you to do that too. You ready? I'm gonna have you hold
Okay,
your hand up. Hold your hand up. All right. Hold your hand up. All right. And
like
in a
that.
second, I'm gonna ask you to do something. Right?
Okay.
Squeeze your fist as tight as you can. Squeeze it. Now go tighter and tighter. All right, let go.
Wow.
The first thing I asked you to do was to squeeze your fist as tight as you could. I did it kind of quick, but to do it as tight as you can. Did you do that?
Yep.
Were you able to squeeze tighter when I said tighter?
Did. I surprised myself,
So
actually.
even though I said squeeze as tight as you could, you were able to squeeze tighter and even tighter. And that's the human condition. No matter what we go through, we can always give a little bit more. And that's what's happening to my process, which is exciting. No matter, what accolades that I accomplish, I can still do better and grow and become more. So that excites me because I can't wait, to see what the next thing I do in my stages of growth. I always used to tell my students, look at it like this: you're a cub lion, right? You're a cub lion. Now imagine if you brought that cub lion home to your mother. And even though it's a little cute little cub, she'd be like, boy, get that thing out of here. Because she knows when it grows, not only is going to eat them out of their house and home because it costs a lot to feed them, but it might eat them. So I'm like, you're a lion. You just haven't gone through the stages of manifestation yet. So if you know that you're a lion and you know that you're powerful, it's just going to take time. And once you get to that stage, boy, look out. You're going to be fierce. And that excites me that I'm at that stage, that I'm still growing and manifesting.
Wow. So we've spoken about your father and his legacy. What legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I have no idea. I just want to be the best that I can be and be true to my art and true to myself and not emulate anyone else, but just be me and let all the things that make me me come out of my artistry. So I don't even think about that. I'm just on a journey right now trying to be the best I can be.
I think that's good. I think too many people are trying to be someone else
Mhm.
or like someone else. Um, and you're really setting yourself up for failure when you
Yeah,
even try to do that.
yeah,
So I think that's a great um, advice is just, be yourself.
yeah. I take the Bruce Lee approach. And Bruce Lee, when he taught Jeet Kune Do, it was not more about learning that style. It was more about incorporating a lot of different styles and learning a lot of different styles to the point that you can incorporate yourself into those different styles and come up with something totally unique because it's your experiences and your learning of these different styles, but it's not one particular style. So you're taking all these different influences because we all are influenced by someone or something. You're taking all these influences, but then you add your chocolate chip cookie approach. You add your own twist to it, and you become something unique that's only yours.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I I'm not sure if I asked you this before the show, but do you have your book with you? Do you have something you could read from your book? Is that
I,
possible?
I always have something ready just in case I'm asked. So yeah, I do have something from my book Awari Mosaic, which if you want me to read it, I would be so grateful. I would love to read something from it.
Please do. I'd love to hear you read.
All right. So I remember the last time I was on your show, I read from the first chapter, kind of starting it off. And so I found another chapter that's a little different. And so it's
Okay.
chapter 4, and this is from a Warrior Mosaic. And again, I'm talking about things that have to do with the neural implant and the neural verse. So when you hear me talking about a game or this or that, has to do with the neuroverse. And here we go. Chapter 4, Ori Mosaic, the Bram Stoker winning award novel. I deactivated the virtual sensory game in my neural implant with focused thought and opened my eyes just in time to see my favorite mug bounce off my lap and break. An empty coffee mug with "Gamers Do It Better" printed on it had shattered into a million pieces on the hardwood floor of my bedroom. I was no longer Zoe, investigating medical examiner like I was in the neuro game, House of Owari. I was 17-year-old Fini Zoe, living a boring life in the city of Kumasi. My vision came into a hazy focus on my brother's faded t-shirt that said, "Join the Ghana Allied Forces." "You idiot," I said. "That was my favorite mug, Kofi. How did you even get into my room?" Kofi's large, dark brown eyes widened, and his mouth fell agape. His haircut was as fresh as the GAF demanded, but his face was shiny with perspiration. We were both the same age, but he had me by a few months. His eyes narrowed, and a crooked grin twisted his lips. "Well, next time, you won't pretend to ignore me when I'm calling you," he said. "You weren't really meditating. Your eyes were moving around in your eyelids too much. You can't fool me." "Ugh," I said, scoffing and leaped to my feet. "Aren't you supposed to be doing police work or something? How'd you get in at such an early age anyway?" "Grunt forged my paperwork," he said. He pointed at my head. Is that horsehair or Indian hair?" I was about to pop him good in his eye when Auntie Yasna poked her head into my bedroom. "What in the world is going on here?" she asked. After dodging in and out of foster homes and living on the streets for almost a year, Auntie Yasna took me in and treated me like her own daughter. She, Kofi, and the little twins were the only real family I'd ever known since my parents died when I was young. "Kofi broke my gamer mug," I said, trying to get at him. Auntie Yaja stood between us. And even if I tried, I couldn't get around her. She was a hefty woman and had the height to match her size. Kofi stood behind her and chuckled, making me more annoyed at him. "I didn't mean to break it," he said. "It was an accident." I reached my arm past Auntie Yasna and tried to grasp Kofi's shoulder. "Liar!" Auntie Yasna stepped forward, her buxom bosom pushed me backward in a small stumble. Now, Feeny, I told you about that temper of yours. Give the boy a break. You know Kofi can't get around. You know Kofi can get as confused as flatulence in a fan factory. If the boy says he made a mistake, you better believe that he's well capable of doing just that." "Hey," Kofi said, "what is this, gang up on Kofi Day?" Auntie Yazda grabbed me and stood by my side, hugging me. "More like Women Unite Day. You better recognize. Feeny is not a woman," he said. "Boy, just go on downstairs and make sure the twins are ready. I want to get in the rationing line before it grows longer than a politician's nose during election time. I can't afford to be late to work, and now you can't take me to work. I'm going to be on crunch time from now on." Kofi crossed his arms and leaned against the doorframe. "I'm busting my butt on the force so you don't have to work, Mom." He beat his fist against his chest. "I'm the man of this family. Boy, if you don't do what I tell you to do, your station is going to have to put an APB on your BUTT because I'm going to bop you so hard you'll be missing for days. Now go on and check the twins and make sure they ain't up to no good before you go to work." Almost done, a little bit more. "And while you're at it," I said, this is what the main character said, what Feeny said. "And while you're at it," I said, "do some push-ups. Your chest sounded mighty flat when you beat on it just now." "At least my hair is real," he said. "Boy," Auntie Yaja said, failing to hold in a chuckle, "get going, but have to tan your 17-year-old hide. You're not too big to still get a whooping." Kofi sighed. "Okay, Mom, I'm going." He left mumbling, "I don't know why you don't make Feeny get them ready. I have to go to work." Because a man needs to learn how to take care of children the same way a woman does and still work as hard as a mother does to be a good father. I laughed. He doesn't even have a girlfriend, and you're teaching him how to be a father? "Look who's talking," Kofi said. "Look who's talking." "Watch your mouth," Auntie Yazda raised her hand at him, and he ran off. When he left, Auntie Yazda helped me pick up the pieces of my mug. "You were meditating, huh?" she asked. Yeah. "Well, I guess that means you're feeling better." I didn't know why, but I hadn't told her about the game. Part of the reason was that I knew that no one else had a virtual construct in their neural implants. I asked around, went online, and even searched the archive streaming database. There was no such game, no such name as House of a Warrior, which is funny. As long as I could remember, I played the game that only Lamp and I seem to own on our neural implants. Lamp is one of her best friends that she plays the games with. She's never seen her in real life, but it's her in-game partner. It was my escape, but more than that, it taught me all about pathology. One day I knew I'd be one in real life. Auntie Yaja said, "You're young. Why do you meditate?" She picked up my tin garbage can beside my reading desk. She stopped to look at some of my books. Clone Forensics by Kwesi Nzinga, Transferring Consciousness onto Retcons by Amma Selassie, and Soul Sleep by Muhammad Quasi, among other books on pathology and science. She nodded her head in a slow, thoughtful motion. "You're too young to be so wise. I want to do big things, Auntie. I want to make a difference in this world." "Child, you are doing big things," she said, and tossed the broken pieces into the tin garbage can. "You don't understand. That's not what I mean. Don't be silly. Helping me with the twins, keeping the place clean is a big help to me. A tremendous help. I don't know what I'd do without you. There's nothing more important than family, and you help me keep this one together. Good families are what make a difference in the world, girl. Many folks grow up in dysfunctional ones. Now, go on and get ready. It's almost time to get food rations. You know I like to be the first one in the line." "Okay," I said, in just a few minutes. "Hurry up, child," she said, and left my room. That made me feel real good, hearing her say that I was a big help to her. None of my foster parents ever expressed love for me, but it also made me sad because Auntie Yaja truly didn't understand that black hole that was eating up my very soul. There had to be more in life. There had to be. I glanced in the mirror, and instead of my face, all I saw was the dead girl under my car. If I didn't kill her, who did? See.
Wow.
Did you like it? It was all right.
I love it. You've truly learned from the best.
Thank you.
You really have learned from the best. Oh my gosh. I like that. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Now, have you turned that book into an audiobook? Are
No,
you planning to if you haven't? Because you got to. You
I
absolutely
will.
have to.
Thank you. I would love to. I think it's coming. I think it's coming soon. My original publisher, Omnia Gathering, went out of print, and luckily I got picked up by Crossroad Press, and it's in my contract that they will turn the book into audiobook. So soon.
That'll be amazing. So I've got two fun questions for you.
Yeah, sure.
I just had to. Sorry. If you could choose any fictional character to accompany you on this crazy adventure that you have, who would it be and why?
Ooh, in a fictional form or in real life?
Fictional.
That's really a good question. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
Be a good one. That'd
Yeah,
be a good one.
yeah.
That'd be a good one.
You know what was in the back of my mind though?
What?
Darth Vader.
Yes. Yes.
Darth Vader. Yeah, probably Darth Vader. Use the Force, Nzondi. Use the Force.
Absolutely.
Move him out of your way. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I changed it. Darth Vader would be it. He'd be the guy. Darth Vader. Yeah.
He'd be dope.
Yeah. Right. Darth Vader.
Oh my goodness. And last question. If you had to pick a theme song to represent your life and career thus far, what would it be and why?
My gosh, such a. Oh my god. I have to think. Oh my god, of my life. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with some of my favorite theme songs, if that's all right.
Gotten
So
Nzondi stumped.
I hear a couple of songs, and my favorite song is an old TV show that starred Bill Bixby. That was called The Courtship of Eddie's Father. I like
Yeah.
da, 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 but that doesn't apply to my life. So maybe Quincy Medical Examiner. Da, 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 da,
I like that.
da, da.
I like that.
That
I like that. That's a good one.
yeah, that will probably go with the theme song of my life because there's horns, there's up and down, there's orchestra, it goes down and it goes back up, So yeah, that I think that's the theme song. You got me though, because I'm like, I don't know.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome. So next time I have you on the show, I
There'll be
need
a
you
next
to
time?
yeah, there's going to be a next time. There's definitely going to be a next time. Next time, I need you to have your Bram Stoker Award on the show and show it off. So I want to just give a big shout out to Bob. Barbara Tomlin is a great friend, and she's been listening to the show in the background here.
Hi, Barbara.
And these are her comments. So I just want to give Barbara, she's a great supporter of the show. So I just wanted to give Barbara a good shout out there, and just thank you to everyone else.
She said definitely Darth Vader.
She said definitely Darth Vader. Yes, she said definitely Darth Vader. Nzondi, this was amazing, and the pressure is on because I need to have you back to talk about your next book.
All right, let's do it. I'm with it.
So definitely want to have you back on the show. So big shout out to our audience and just say thank you to everyone. Thank you to you. And do remember next time to bring your award with, because I think we need to show people what it actually looks like. I think it's a really, really special, very special award.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And I cannot wait for the next opportunity to have you back, because I still have a gazillion questions, but unfortunately we are out of time. So do hang tight while I say goodbye to the audience. And Bob agrees with me. She says, yes, let's see that award.
Real quick question. Where are you located? You're in South Africa? Where
yes, I'm in Cape Town, South Africa.
Ooh, so yeah, Cape Town. Yeah. So
I hope that's on your bucket list.
I want to do an interview, a live interview in Cape Town. Let's make it happen.
There we go. That sounds awesome. I'm always up for a challenge.
Sounds good.
Thanks, everyone. Take care until the next episode of Books with Bridgetti. Thank you for joining us on Books with Bridgetti. Join us next time for industry experts and award-winning authors only on 100 TV.
This might be, I've been on over 24 different podcasts and radio shows in the last couple of months. And this has to be one of the most sophisticated, what the kids like to teach called bomb.com shows and presentations that I've ever been on. It's fantastic. Thank you for having me here.
Available wherever great books are sold near you.